Okay. Greetings, everybody. Thanks for coming aboard with me today. I'm going to be showing you, give you a walkthrough of my website. So I want to thank Susan Dentel for inviting me through Faculty Professional Development for having the opportunity to do this. And I've been teaching full time in the photography department for a little over 14 years now. And ever since I've been here, my website has been integral to facilitating my classes, and it's something that I enjoy doing quite a good deal, and it really kind of makes things run a lot smoother when you've got your students interacting and being aware of where their course materials come from and what the expectations are in your classes and so forth. So you may notice right away that I don't use Blackboard. I have a website that I develop on the college server. I create and design in Dreamweaver, and the web URL is up here in the location field. So if you want to go follow yourself to this, you can. It's courses.wccnet.edu/tilde, which is that little squiggly marker that the Spanish like to use over ends, and then DONW, and it'll take you here to my home page. So what I typically like to show students on day one is this website, and then I'll say, well, here's where you can contact me, and I'll show them they can send me a postcard if they want to. Of course, they can email me, and where my office location is, where my office hours are, and if they want to print out my schedule and post it on the refrigerator, they can do that too. But most importantly, the courses that I teach each semester are listed here, and each one of them are password protected. And this semester I actually tried something new where I thought I'd throw a preview. And so students commonly ask me about the classes that I'm going to be teaching in the upcoming semester. And I'll just point into that and say, well, here's the course description. And it's very tip of the iceberg sort of information, but it at least gives them a primer as to, what the course could be about. But then it shows them my website and hopefully the depth of information that I give them. And I typically go over this page about interpersonal communications and getting their WCC email accounts set up and all these other sort of things that are just pretty much what I just call nuts and bolts and expectations about their attendance. And it doesn't apply to any one class, but it's general rules, regulations, and expectations that I can always point back to. If there's a grade challenge or something of that nature, at least I've got someplace to fall back on and say, well, remember we talked about this in the first day, the first couple weeks of class, and so forth. So, but the core experience really is, I'll take you into Intro to Studio, is when they have to log in to one of my classes. And these are all password protected, just for the sake of, I like to kind of keep my intellectual property protected so that instructors from other schools don't just come in and take my things free will and start using them. Of course, there's a course description and gives them the objectives and the grading system and everything here. And what I like about doing this in Dreamweaver is I can update this on the fly, and not that I simply do that with a course description. This is pretty much hard written day one, but supplies, or most especially a course syllabus and what we're going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. And of course, having the good fortune of teaching a class several times, you pretty much have a good idea what you're going to be doing from one semester to the next and being able to update it and giving them a trail of salt to follow and when we might have a critique. So anything that I have in blue type is basically giving them a flag visually to say, hey, something's due. Here's where you can score some points. So, I mean, obviously your attendance matters and doing your assignments matters, but you should be ready to turn something in here. And I certainly don't need to go into any detail here, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. But if I do make changes to this kind of thing, then I'll just send an email out to the entire class, and I kind of note that up here. And we kind of go from there, make it part of the class discussion. And it's always the most current version of the syllabus. And anything I give them on day one is pretty much, not always, but sometimes it's old news right when they walk out the door. But and then I began to integrate a Google Calendar and embed a Google Calendar into my website. And what students really like about this is they can actually come down to a link in the lower right corner and subscribe to this calendar, so that anything that's due, or we have a critique, or there's a quiz due, there's an exam, or whatever is going to be happening where they're going to score points, if there's something really critical for their grade, they can subscribe to this and they can set up reminders for themselves in their own calendars. And I do this in every single class, so that it just increases the chances of student success ultimately. Obviously, it doesn't have the depth of what the course syllabus is, but it takes the things in blue type from here and puts them into a different format. So the assignments page can be a little bit intimidating, especially towards the end of the semester. But I typically only launch 1, 2, or 3 assignments, at any one time in the semester, and then as things progress and students become more proficient, I release or launch a new assignment. So what you're looking at here is, here we are in week 12 or 13 of the semester, and pretty much everything is up and running and available. And we've got 2 weeks to go in this semester, and they've got final portfolios to produce, and final exam to study for, and things like this. But this gives you a pretty good idea of not just the assignments that I give them, but there's quizzes that they have to produce. There's other technical assignments that they have to put together, and then I try to support everything that they're doing with my own technical handouts, in addition to a course pack or textbook that they have to get for the class, equipment manuals, guidelines and review sheets for exams and portfolios, and every now and again a link to an interesting website or something that might kind of give them greater insight to what we're doing in class. And then potentially even, let's see if I go to even this assignment, I'll usually post some student examples of work. And I do have a written rule in my assignments that they can't use stuffed animals. It's sort of a running joke in the class. But when they get their proficiencies with studio lighting and so forth, then it's a matter of bringing in different objects. And we don't necessarily have a prop closet where they can go and grab things. They bring their own props in, and it tends to personalize the class a lot more. And they've really got to think a lot differently, because I want them to really start making idea-driven images, certainly by the mid-semester and forward from that. And they typically enjoy seeing this kind of thing, so they have some expectation as to what have other students done with that set of objectives and that criteria. And I'm not expecting them to copy that in any way, shape, or form, but it's just to kind of get the gears turning, so that they could see the quality work that I'm looking for, because I can be very, very selective about those examples and say, yeah, this is a really good example of what some students have done in the past. So this is a different assignment, different objectives, and you can people rifle through these and just kind of like to see what have other people produced here. So outside of the assignments, which is probably the most visited page of any class, I post information about open labs so they can get work done outside of class time, access to the photo lab and the photo lab website, and other links and things within the visual arts, the digital media arts program. Again, just to increase student success, so that we're just not leaving them hanging out there and saying, okay, you're on your own. And it's a very different sort of experience to be in class, working with fellow students. But once you're outside of that environment, and knowing where the resources are to support your continued learning and exploration of proficiencies is really important. And this is basically how I post their midterm grades, which I don't necessarily give them a letter grade, but I'll give them a point total. And they have to generate for me a random, ID, and whether that's numbers or letters or whatever they want that to be. But I'll give them their attendance total, critiques of participation total, and cognitive assignments and so forth. And they know all the code language up in here, of course. But at least they've got some indicator by the midpoint of the semester how many points are possible to date, how many points are possible in the course, And I even generate a mean a score basically based on all of these. This is pretty much where the average shakes out. But they know if they need to work harder. They know if they may need to drop the class. They know whether they're doing okay. And we're required by the college to generate some sort of midterm, a point total or grade. And this is how I do it and how I put it out to them. So it includes, grading scales, and a reminder. I'm quite a stickler about attendance totals and that kind of thing. So, it's here 24/7, like they say, and it gives students at least access to things, and it tends to, I believe, reduce the number of excuses. And I'm not always running to the copy machine, especially when it comes to like producing an assignment, because everything's in PDF format. So if they get one of these assignments here, they'll get the PDF if this is going to generate here, and it'll give them the expectations and the objectives and the criteria and so forth here. But it's if I was to hand this out to them like I used to in the old days, half of them would lose it, and they would come back the following week and say, "Can I have another one?" And it's I like to put the problem in their lap where they are responsible for solving that problem, and it's not necessarily what I would call a hybrid course, but I suppose it could push the fringes of being something where it's a traditional show up to class and participate in class, but then here are all the web resources, and you can choose to print this or not. And some students do, and they put it all in a binder, and they keep it with them, and they annotate in it and so forth. And there's others who have a very different learning style, and they'll look at the assignment and they'll read it, and they'll go out and shoot their work, and they'll come back in and they'll be just fine. So there's lots of different learning styles, lots of different ways to meet their method of success, so to speak. So it's just a couple more things. This is, I like to post, a little credibility just to show them where I've been and what I've done. And I'd like to post different links, different resources and things like that, different places they can transfer to. There's lots of schools, other photographers that I find interesting. And this is sort of an ongoing list of links that I like to kind of make students aware of. So, and I have taught a study abroad class a few times here at the college, and it just kind of gives them some background information on that. So, and that's really pretty much it. Other than going to, other advisement links that I like to keep posted here, I'd like to try to get them inspired about different learning strategies. I've outlined the photo program, the certificate, the general education coursework, and what it takes to get the degree. And if I go and look at these same classes in terms of a suggested sequence of courses and different career opportunities that they could consider, and these aren't all inclusive. And then just a really general description of what the photo program is or what it can be to students and so forth. These are very common questions, and it tends to save me a little bit of time because I can point them to these resources and then have a short discussion with them, show it to them, and then they could obviously read it on their own time and digest it in ways that they find more conducive to their learning style. But it certainly keeps the discussions open, and it's a very satisfactory way to kind of meet your students, contact them, personally, but then in a more impersonal way, but a more technically savvy way. So that's pretty much it. So thanks very much for your time. I really appreciated you having me here today.